There's a ton of brain science and research out there on the benefits of psychedelics, and I've made a few videos on the actual mechanics of it if you want to check those out. However, today I want to be more authentic and talk about my own experience, how psychedelics helped me, and why I'm so passionate about it today. This is the first time I've ever shared my story online because I want to express the full arc and timeline of what psychedelic prep and integration can possibly look like. So, the reason I started using psychedelics was because I was called to it. I can't explain the feeling except that I was driven to use them. In 2018, I did my research, bought a bag of mushrooms, and had a friend guide me through one of the most transformative journeys of my life. I was forever changed and actually didn't do psychedelics again for a long time after that, until I started going through the dark night of the soul in 2021. But I'll talk more about that later. Let's back up. There are two reasons psychedelics worked for me. Number one, I was already doing my own personal growth and on a seeking path. And number two, because psychedelics are a non-specific amplifier, they catalyzed said growth. So more power was added to the equation. There are three parts to my story. Remember when I said I didn't do psychedelics again for a long time? Well, the first part of the story begins when I started using psychedelics again, a lot, in 2021. I was going through one of the worst times of my life. I was drinking a lot of alcohol, getting a second master's degree, and had a demanding career. My health was terrible too. I was wrecking myself at the gym, under-eating, and overtraining. My sleep was hit or miss, and my gut was consistently upset because I wasn't eating the best food or water. And I was microwaving everything. I was very unhappy, was desperately trying to keep it all together. I was one of those people who couldn't sit still either. I couldn't read a book, and I was never creative. I was constantly on a device, either shopping, scrolling, or binge watching shorts or shows on Netflix. Now, I say all this realizing most of the collective lives like this, constantly busy and consuming and living for the weekend or planning vacations or when you'll finally get a break. Everyone is perpetually saying, once I get through this week or once I get through this month, then I'll have more time or be more calm or do more self-care or whatever, right? Sound familiar? Yeah, we've all been there. So I finally get to a breaking point and have a canon event in 2021 after living like this for most of my adult life. I was on mushrooms and had been drinking. Keep in mind, I used to consume mushrooms willy-nilly. No ceremony, no intention, just wanting to feel different or better maybe. I don't know. It's hard to say. Anyway, one morning after drinking and doing mushrooms, I realized I didn't want to be alive anymore. So I called a couple friends who helped me get into rehab that day. One friend even flew with me on the plane to California as my sober companion. This event, which was sort of a death, started a chain of other events where I resigned from my job. I quit my master's program. I eventually finished and filed for bankruptcy and moved into a home with my friend who had accompanied me to California. Once we were settled into our new place and I secured a new job working from home, I built a lab where I grew the sacred mushrooms. I began to be more intentional in using them. This was the second part of my story, the initiation period where I became self-aware. I hid from my community and began my psychedelic education. I attended the Psychedelic Science Conference in 2023 in Denver and was blown away by the power and levity of the people who came and presented, the indigenous cultures, and the immense expansiveness of creativity with art and music. I realized the sacredness of psychedelics and decided to enroll in Naropa University in Boulder, Colorado, for their psychedelic-assisted therapy program. The program was truly life-changing. The speakers they invited and the diverse psychedelic communities who spoke about working with ancestral lineages and archetypal models was humbling and emotional. All the while, during this time, I was intentionally taking psychedelics with my dear friend and deconstructing my old conditioning and patterns and ways of thinking. I was dismantling the wall that had kept me from my true self as I encountered my shadow and learned to integrate her into my being. I was embracing my beautiful body with reverence and care as I began to let her rest and be nurtured too, and simultaneously encountering my emotional body, who I had suppressed and ignored for so long. I had many late nights with my friend on the kitchen floor, crying and laughing and nurturing one another in the most human way we could, which was messy and beautiful. During my time in the Boulder program, I started a psychedelic coaching business and was signing myself up for speaking engagements wherever I could in my community. I was full of myself and grandiose about the possibilities of psychedelics. It was a necessary moment for me, and I was soon humbled by being banned on all social media and had to retract my first website due to legal reasons. I might talk more about that in another video, but not in this one. So fast forwarding to what it's like now. I would say I'm more in alignment than I've been since I was 10 years old. I'm constantly learning more as I go and grow. I'm grateful for what psychedelics has done for me and the people who have been message carriers and have loved me when I couldn't love myself. The community that has manifested as a result of this work is undeniable. I have been through the underworld and I'm not afraid to go back if necessary. However, to wrap up this story, I'll tell you psychedelics didn't save me. It was only a small part. It was my community and my willingness to burn everything to the ground and continue to read and to learn and having the courage to be heart-led instead of making decisions out of fear. The moral of the story is that psychedelics are not a one-size-fits-all. It's not an overnight process. It is very messy, just like death and rebirth should be. These days, I use my emotions as my guidance system instead of avoiding them. I trust myself, and I trust the medicine. I don't know everything, but my mission is to midwife those people who are called to the medicine to retrieve their souls in a safe, intentional space. So if you want to learn more about what I do, I encourage you to visit my website at consciousresearchcoaching.com. You can download my 6-week microdose workbook totally free or schedule a free consultation with me to see if we might be a good fit to do this work together. If you like this content, please like and subscribe. And as always, take care of yourself and keep going no matter how messy it gets. See you in the next video.